Welcome to SVG TV News for Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has retained its position as the third least corrupt country in the Caribbean, according to the 2022 Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index. SVG moved to 35, down 1 from its position of 36 in 2021. In the Caribbean, the island gained a score of 60 out of 100 points and had an overall rank of 35 on the list of 180 countries. The least corrupt Caribbean country was Barbados, while the second least corrupt was the Bahamas. Haiti was the lowest ranked Caribbean state with a score of 17 and overall rank of 171, which it shared with 4 countries. St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda and Belize were not on the list. The least corrupt state on the 2022 CPI was Denmark, which received a score of 90. The government is expected to make a presentation to the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB, on the school's rehabilitation program, which Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says is expected to cost more than anticipated due to several issues. The Prime Minister, who was speaking on the matter during his weekly appearance on NBC Radio today, said the school's rehabilitation program is now expected to cost over $20 million, which includes an increase in the cost of the rehabilitation work on the girls' high school building at Richmond Hill.
Take the school in Beckway. It was supposed to be 3 million and something, and it's 6 point something now. The Beckway Community High School was what has to be done. There's to be a slight redesign issue there. The one which is really, the numbers are going to jump very high is the girls' high school. That may, where that was looking, that was like a 3 million plus rehabilitation. It looks as though we have to do a further 6 million or thereabouts, because we basically now have to do over, we have to do a new building at Grimble Hall.
Okay.
You know, what happened is this: when the initial assessment was done by the consultant, a local consultant, not in the government, a private consultant who had won the contract from CDB to do the consultancy work, the assessment and the designs and so on for the rehabs, for the rehabilitation. The school was, that particular area, the school general was in a bad state. But between then and 2023, it has deteriorated as you're doing the work completely. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And which would mean that the students will have to stay at Arnesville as a girls' high school student for another year and a half, year and 3/4. 2 years, you know, that kind of a frame now.
Yeah, okay.
Because we had to do designs of this new building and all the whole processes. And we had to make the application for the additional monies to the CDB. It's additional debt, but the point is this: the education of our children,
Very important.
It's a burden, but there are benefits. There are no benefits without burdens, you know.
The Prime Minister says the cost to rehabilitate other schools has also gone up.
Similarly, Thomas Saunders' numbers are going up, and they will have to stay a little longer there, because similar kinds of questions. I'm not saying that the consultants didn't do a job as well as they should have done. That's not my point. Sometimes when they might do an assessment, but when you go to the actual rehab of the building, a later period after the consultancy was done, you see some actual problems which were not assessed at the time. by the consultant, the independent consultant. Which means that we will have to do some renovations over Easter down at and over the summer. Because remember, we build those schools with wooden floors, plywood, and so forth. But hundreds of children running up on them, and when you have dance classes, in some cases jumping on them. You know what that means?
Yes.
Eh? The wear and tear.
Yes.
But we will do what is required. Similarly, the one for the Kingston Anglican School the number is going to come in much higher than originally anticipated. So to the one up at Carapan, the Sinclair Deacon. Johnny P, these are big numbers. And the cost, anybody who is building would know the cost of construction has gone up tremendously.
Yes, tremendously, yes.
But in this case, in addition to those costs, I'm talking about the original assessment which was done and what has happened subsequently now.
PM Gonzalez also noted that a school will be built at Orange Hill to replace the one in Sandy Bay at a cost of $10 million. And Prime Minister Gonzalez said he hosted a meeting with representatives of the Carnival Bands Association, the CDC, Minister of Culture Carlos James, and other officials this week. He said at the meeting they discussed a number of matters, including a place to accommodate at least half of the 13 mass bands which are looking for a place to operate from. And while he is confident they will secure a place, time is of the essence. The Prime Minister says a case was also put forward for a license fee for promoters who host events independent of the CDC. He said the view was put forward that these promoters have been feeding off the other components of Carnival and putting back a little into it, and that the license fee payment will allow other components of Carnival to get more money.
Of course, the promoters are not going to like that kind of discussion. It's a persuasive argument they were presenting, and I have sympathy for it. But clearly, I will have to hear from the promoters themselves.
Both sides, yes.
And I also have to run it through the people in the Ministry of Finance. As usual, I do things deliberately, but quickly. You don't have to be very slow in your deliberation. You just do what you're doing thoroughly, and you don't agonize over decisions unduly. You make the best judgment on the material which is before you.
Local artist Calvert Jones, who has been making waves locally, regionally, and internationally with his artwork, says his personal preference in his portrayals is conversational pieces. Jones, who was recently signed with Elizabeth Salon, a Jamaican business development and deal origination firm with operations in the Caribbean and West Africa, was speaking on his work on the API's Morning SVG program today. He said one of his conversational pieces was done recently for international dancehall artist Popcorn, which was a tribute to his mother, Miss Rona.
Popcorn is a guy who has a wide range of songs that touch on every single topic, and you could sort of pretty much pull together a very inspirational / gospel album from Popcorn. And at the time when I had a very challenging scenario in my life, one of the songs that inspired me was Firm and Strong, and I always wanted to do a piece for him. So when I heard he was coming here, I reached out to an associate of mine, Dawson Lewis, in Jamaica, who later presented directly to him, and also the promoter who brought him here. And we made connections to organize to get this thing facilitated, and it came off well. I'm happy that it was well received. He also shared it on his social media, and again, it just shows you how interconnected we are as creatives and industry people in the region.
Jones is also looking into new ventures that he said he will be embarking on soon.
What we would be doing and launching later this year, I'll put two on the table. One is immersive art vacations, where you can book And we're starting with the luxury end first. So you get a villa in, it might be Bequia, Mustique, or somewhere here on island. But it's art-centric, so you can go to the Tobago Keys, paint a turtle, but it's a turtle like you saw underwater. Go to Falls of Balen, do something there. Go to market, get some inspiration from market, and you create a market scene under the guidance, of course, of myself and other creatives. And the food as well as drink will be also curated such that they also reflect the taste and the experience of what it means to live in an island. So for instance, I've partnered with Zendulgence, one of the best ice cream manufacturers here on island. And we have created ice creams which will be launched very soon, and that day will be announced, that reflect the energy of the island, which is citrusy. There's a citrusy flavor to that. There's one that's even fashioned after the national hero, and that has more robust flavors to it.
Farmers across St. Vincent and the Grenadines whose produce were purchased by Global Medics in December last year are expected to be paid for their produce this month. This is according to SVG's Councillor General to Canada, Fitzgerald Huggins, while speaking on NBC's Talk Your Talk program yesterday. Huggins noted that Global Medic purchased over 400,000 Canadian dollars worth of produce from Vincentian farmers, and arrangements are being finalized with the Ministry of Agriculture for the payments to be made to the farmers.
Yeah, just to focus on one particular issue that we are working on right now. It's a project with Global Medic, and I know we have been working with this group for quite a while. You know, one of the biggest things in the job, and I would be trying to help Luther to understand it as well, CG McIntosh, is networking and making sure the people you network with and the groups you network with could bring benefit to him personally as a CG that will renown to the benefit of the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines. So over the years, I've networked with a group called Global Medic, and they were on the ground in December doing a lot of work with farmers, and I know we are just finalizing two things to assist with payment of farmers in February for produce that were purchased, and I know that is going well. The negotiations are going well, so farmers can look forward. Farmers who are owed money for quite a while, we look forward to that being resolved sometime in February.
Global Medic, which is a Canadian registered charity organization, has also donated 1.5 million Canadian dollars worth of food supplies to SVG through its food program in the wake of the eruption of La Soufrière volcano. President of the SVG Hotel and Tourism Association, Kim Halbish, said that there is a great need for the development and protection of the South Coast area of St. Vincent. Speaking at a participatory planning workshop on ecosystem-based adaptation and blue-green economic development, a project at the Sunset Shows Hotel, Halbish said that over a period of years, she has witnessed a negative impact to the environment.
The degradation, the destruction, the move, the pollution, the siltation, the invasive species coming in, and overuse in some instances. And so I personally know what is happening. And a lot of us depend on this very same resource for income. And it's not just the hotels on the that grace the shorelines. It's the fishers, it's the taxi drivers, it's the boat tour operators, it's the scuba divers, it's yacht charter companies, it's the man making craft, it's the man doing a tour, it's the man. So it's everyone that. There's quite a few persons that are depending on this environment to remain as it is, and it's definitely not remaining as it is. So, and I'm saying over my short lifespan, Over my short lifespan, I've seen massive changes, and the scary part is, it looked to me like the changes were coming gradually, and now all of a sudden have fueled. And they're going much faster.
Halbish is encouraging citizens to continue to protect the South Coast Marine area, noting that it can cause the country to lose visitors.
And when I say visitors, I don't mean visitors all foreign, even all local people, because many of Vincentian has learned to swim in the South Coast. Many of Vincentian regenerate and relax in the South Coast. A lot of older folks come and have a good a sap. And it's sad, they can't even get there because of destruction, you know? So let's work together. It's so important. I have long been advocating that the public and private sector need to collaborate, need to work together. We need to educate our youth to be more responsible and stop liming on the block, come and be a part. And very often it's just an opportunity they need. So education, community involvement, stakeholder and private sector and public sector working together is the only way to go forward. And I have been around for a long time. I have been on project implementation teams. I've been in discussions. I've been in, I can't tell you, numerous things involving the South Coast. But for this one, I look forward to actions being implemented, rules and regulations being enforced, and the environment.
The Caribbean Natural Resources Institute Canary, in collaboration with the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority, the Forestry Department, the Fisheries Division, the SVG Hotel and Tourism Association, and the National Fisherfolk Organization, have implemented a three-year project entitled Pioneering a Green Economic Development Model for Coastal Adaptation, Livelihood and Sustainability in St. Vincent. The project was funded by the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund, the International Climate Initiative of the German Federal Ministry for Environment, Natural Conservation and Nuclear Safety. In other news now, we hear that the investigation process has been going well thus far into the 6 homicides which have been recorded here for this year. This is according to Commissioner of Police Colin John, who on Boom FM yesterday said of particular concern to law enforcement officers is the murder of Frankie Gooden Mitchell in Bequia. He said they are following certain leads and they are working along with international bodies to try and see how best they can solve this murder. Commissioner John said they have arrested and interviewed some persons, but the investigation is ongoing. Last year, SVG recorded 42 homicides, and Commissioner John said while the police cannot be everywhere at every time, they were able to prevent quite a few homicides as well last year. He said they have gone back to the drawing board and they are putting things in place to ensure a decline in the homicide rate as far as it is possible. He said one of the strategies that they have adopted is the increased presence of the police in some of the crime hotspots to ensure the safety of all citizens. An investigation launched by the traffic branch of the RSVG police force into videos being circulated on social media depicting some omnibus drivers engaged in dangerous and reckless driving and irresponsible behavior has resulted in Police Constable Joy Ron Hull of Greenhill being charged with driving dangerously and his driving permit suspended. A report from the Police Public Relations Department said on Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, Constable Hull was issued with a letter signed by the Commissioner of Police Colin John notifying him that his driving permit has been suspended by virtue of the authority vested in the Commissioner of Police and Licensing Authority in accordance with the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 4A3, Section 51(1) of the revised edition of the Laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 2009. Constable Hall's driving permit was suspended after he was charged with driving motor vehicle HR 981 in a dangerous manner on January 26, 2023 at North Union Public Road. The report from the police says the commissioner and the traffic branch are aware of the incidents of motorists driving recklessly on public roads, and as a result, traffic officers have increased vigilance and patrols to curb these incidents. It was further stated that Commissioner John expressed his gratitude to the law-abiding people for their ongoing cooperation and assistance in the effort to make St. Vincent and the Grenadines roads safe.